Why in the world is my phone going off every 15 seconds when I'm trying to do this podcast? What is going on? Welcome back to Sincerely the Corrupt Podcast, episode 5. I know it's been a minute, guys, and don't think that I've been over here, wallowing in evilness or something. I feel like sometimes people think that because I do this, that I have a vengeful heart. That's not true. I do this because I have an empathetic heart for these victims. And that is my passion. That's why I'm driven to do it. And I've been enjoying the spring weather. It's been beautiful outside. I planted some potatoes thanks to my neighbors and getting outside in the sunshine, spending some time with my children. I've got a senior this year. So we have a lot going on. So just because you don't hear me every day, every week, posting about these things, do not think that I've quieted myself or, anything like that. I'm living life, and we all should live life. I feel like we all should become aware of these things. We should all know these things happen, but we've also got to learn to shut that off and enjoy the beauty that we have around us because it's important. I'm going to be touching back this episode, and I'm going to be touching back on the assault case that we had talked about last episode, and I kind of dipped into it a little bit, and I have shared you guys a little teaser of the audio, so I want to warn everybody, this show is not for children. I'm going to be playing some audio that I don't even like playing on my podcast, but I have to. It's evidence, and it's real, and so I'm going to show it. So be wary of that, and watch those young ears if you're watching this podcast. And be sure, because this audio, I've had to listen far too often that I'd like to. And every single time it makes me angry. I can't stop it. I'll get the frustration inside, and when you hear it, you'll understand why. It's awful. It's awful. And I'll tell you that nobody should live through this type of harassment. So that's why I'm digging into this story today. So we're going to trace back a little bit because I have spoken to officials, and I'll tell you that officials have said that there was not enough evidence. So I want to show you what we have today. They've also said that Jeff Reed could not identify him in the preliminary hearing. There's a lot of conjecture about that. And part of me, with that, I'll kind of touch base on that when we get there. But we even have reports in here that our sheriff department knew of witness tampering, knew that they were requesting that our witnesses did not say anything. And so if we are only relying on drug addicts to put away drug addicts, we're not doing our job, right? Because that affects us as civilians. These people not getting any consequences for their actions is the reason they feel like they can behave the way they do today. That's why they feel like they can harass anybody they want. They can intimidate anybody they want. They can call schools. They can call out teachers. They can harass children because obviously these individuals have never understood what a consequence is. And I think it's time that they get taught a lesson. Too late, but it's time. So let's reflect back. October 2nd, that was the vigilante post that Chrissy Harmon had posted, whole long post about her truck getting stolen. She thinks it was Jeff Reed, all of these things. And what you guys got to understand is these guys, it wasn't a couple of business owners that had their truck stolen. They found the criminal that did it, and now they're going out to find him, right? These individuals have known each other for a very long time, really long time. They were in the drug world with Jeff Reed. They know Anita and Kevin Reed. They know them well. You can tell through this audio. And it wasn't that. It wasn't them trying to go get a criminal off the streets and get their truck back. This is nastiness, and it shouldn't be allowed on our streets. My children are on those streets. Your children are on those streets. All of our children are on those streets. And I'm just not okay with criminals being allowed to take care of criminals, driving tow trucks down the street and Hummers down the street to pin an individual in a motorcycle, mind you. I'm not okay with that. And I don't think any of us should be. So on October 2nd was the vigilante post. On October 7th, the actual assault occurred. And on that day, Jeff Reed was at his parents' home, and that is on Pine Tree Road. And he was in his motorcycle. He had a helmet on, all of those things, takes off from his parents' house, turns right towards Falcon and Pine Tree intersection, and that is when the scene occurred. So I'm going to be telling you some facts that we have from that day and that scene. This is a sheriff deputy's report. of him being on scene that day. Now, mind you, I'm not going to be mentioning names of witnesses or mentioning names of anybody that was in this that I feel that may be innocent, or even if I don't feel they are. I don't know. But I'm not going to be naming names because Christy and Cody is our problem here. So on October 7th, 2020, at approximately 10:48 hours, I arrived at the intersection of Falcon Road and Pine Tree Drive in reference to a warrant service turned to possible assault. Not that anyone had been assaulted. There were several cars parked around the intersection, and a man told me that the guy is sitting over there on that porch and pointed to the residence on Pine Tree. This deputy goes to the residence and sees Jeff Reed sitting on the chair on the front porch. Reed complained of pain in his right lower leg and later told me it hurts in my shin. Now, this is immediate, guys. This is the first thing that we hear reported, right? He's complaining of leg pain. His first complaint is leg pain, guys. Sergeant, they had EMS check Reed for injuries, and they cleared him to go to jail. He was told that he had a warrant, so he was the only one picked up that day and taken to jail. Here's a part here where EMS supervisor said Reed was cleared and could be transported to LCSO jail. Reed's father, Kevin Reed, showed up and took Reed's helmet, wallet, and pocket change. The helmet was a black full-face helmet with clear visor, and the visor had what appeared to be scuff and scratch marks, but didn't appear to have been struck by a metal bar. What is it going to look like if it's struck by a metal bar? I think we need a specialist for that. Because to me, if a metal bar is hitting a helmet, we're going to have scratch and scuffs. I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy. I'm not an expert in that area, but that confused me a little bit because all you're really going to get with a long bar on a curved helmet, you're not going to have the same thing that we have on his back, right? Which is full iron ligature marks. You're going to have scuffs and scratches on a helmet. That's what you're going to get. And so he assisted Reed in the front seat of his patrol car that had more legroom and advised jail staff that he would need to be taken to Mercy ER. He was then taken to Mercy ER, where that doctor told him that nothing was wrong with his leg. They did not x-ray his leg, mind you. They did a CT of the head, neck, and spine. They did a chest x-ray. And upon discharge, Reed became upset that his leg had not been x-rayed. And you see this in the notes, in the sheriff department notes and the hospital notes. You see that Jeff Reed became angry but was told that his leg is fine and that he didn't need an x-ray. So he gets discharged out of the hospital without an x-ray of that leg. Let's remember too, because all of these hospital documentations, you know, when you do your documentation within the ER, remember I've worked there, so I know what this is like. You're going to, for one, if you've got somebody that is drugged up, combative, behaving out of hand, you're going to document it. You're going to note that up. You're going to note that up every single time. That's a liability. That's a risk factor. So if he appears like he's on drugs and he's fuming and he's throwing this, we're going to document it. I didn't see any of that. I didn't. What I did see was nursing notes stating that he reported a pain of 10 out of 10 on right leg pain. Right leg pain, 10 out of 10, severe, throughout his whole hospitalization. And the only thing that we denied him was an x-ray of his biggest complaint. Doesn't make sense. Really doesn't make sense. After that occurred in the hospital, he was taken to Laclede County Jail. 3 days later, transported off to Fulton. And upon that transport, they had noted swelling in his leg. They had noted swelling in his ankle. And swelling all throughout that leg that sparked them to take Jeff Reed then to Cox Hospital, in which he was diagnosed with a fibula fracture. You know, guys, we got to take that seriously. You know, even if I hear what we say, like, oh, you're helping a drug addict. He's a human. He deserves health care. He deserves health care just like anybody else does. I've been in the system. I get it. I get annoyed by it too. But you x-ray and you treat them. And I'll tell you, I have had belligerent drug addicts in the ER, and I document that up. And if that wasn't documented, that's on them too. But I don't see where we had an out of control, somebody hyped up on drugs within the ER that was difficult to deal with so that we couldn't even get him an x-ray. I mean, we were able to x-ray everything else but his biggest complaint. That's a concern for me. Big concern for me. So after that, he goes to jail. Jeff's in a better place, in my opinion, because Anita and Kevin are the one that then suffers the most after the fact. And we're going to be putting up some pictures of his helmet to show you the scuff marks, the scratch marks. We don't know what came from what. I'm not confident with saying nothing that looked like a steel bar hit the helmet because it's a curved helmet. You're not going to get a full steel bar mark on a curved helmet. It's just not going to happen. So after that fact, and when you look at, I actually want to talk a little bit more when you look at the witness statements that were at the scene. So we have 2 eyewitnesses on scene. One of them had called 911 and had even said that somebody was beating a man with a bar of some sort. And then they reported that they had watched the tow truck driver beat the man in the street with an iron rod, and they watched the female kick on the man. And then they even admitted to the sheriff's department that later on the Harmon stuck around. And when they approached the witnesses, then they requested that they don't say anything because they were just trying to get their truck back, right? That's witness tampering. That shouldn't be allowed. That shouldn't happen. Shouldn't happen, but it did. It happened. Chrissy had also reported, she admitted that they were the only ones on the scene. And yep, they pinned him in. They did their little maneuver, but she reports that his injuries came from his motorcycle wreck and that she had flip-flops on. I was a 90s girl. I could do some damage in some flip-flops. I could tell you that. I could do some damage in some flip-flops. So that's not a good excuse either. And so all of this happened, and the biggest thing that gets me is what kind of unfolds after the fact, right? Because after this incident occurs, Anita and Kevin Reed are obviously pushing for charges to be placed on Chrissy and Cody Harmon, as they should. They were not upset that Jeff Reed got taken off for his warrant. Now, they may have been upset that Chrissy and Cody were not also picked up, because that's the job of our judicial system. That's the job of our officials, right? To get all of them off the street, not to just go there and take one that's convenient, but to get them all. And so I applaud them for working hard to get these people off our streets for us, and we all should applaud them for that. But what happened is shortly after that, I'm going to soon be playing you the audio that I talked about, so make sure that your rooms are clear of children and all of those things, because this was the biggest factor for me that told me I was going to tell this story. Because anybody that knows me knows that, yep, I have a lot of guts. I'll do a lot of things, but I didn't necessarily want to come to Laclede County. I didn't necessarily want to come into my home and start stirring up this drama, but this is what did it. This is absolutely what caused me to do this. And so when you look, I want to look at the date here, February 8th. February 8th, after this assault, Anita Reed gets a phone call. And she gets a phone call from an angry man who doesn't like what she's pushing for. Sad, but it's true. And so I'm about to play you a little bit of this. And it's sickening, so be prepared.
You know, when Jeff stole my truck, that was the end of the road. But it wasn't that he stole my truck. It was that he got on that internet and got to running this fucking fat map about me.
I don't know nothing about that, Cody.
You don't. So Jeff didn't. He's on film doing it, dear.
Hey, but who beat him?
Oh, good Lord. Anita, I guess it was you. Why do you beat your son?
Did you beat him?
Why do you beat him?
More coming.
Oh, my God. I'm not fucking playing your goddamn game.
What's he talking
Anita,
about?
I'm telling you, you better knock the fucking shit off or it will get bad. I'm telling you.
What are you talking about?
I'm telling you, you better knock this fucking shit off, or I will fucking not be the guy that you want to meet. Now, I'm not trying to be mean, Anita. I'm not. But I'm just trying to fucking work out here, do a fucking normal deal, and then you're gonna fucking pull some shit. The fucking Oliver Control, show me your fucking little...
Where are you at, Cody? Where are you at?
I'm at my fucking house.
Well, where are you at? Where have
My
you
fucking
been?
house.
Because I don't have no pictures.
Anita...
I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay. We'll deny the fucking pictures. We'll just say that's something separate, okay? We'll just do that, okay? But, okay.
And more.
Exactly.
You better stop it and stop it now. And you come around my house and you will be arrested.
Anita, I can walk right in your yard. You don't have no trespassing signs up.
You will be arrested, Cody, so you need to stay away.
Trespassing signs up. You can't do a damn thing.
Yes, I can.
You cannot. But the next fucking time that you email the Highway Patrol and tell them that Cody don't have a driver's license, you better get your fucking facts straight, Mrs. Anita.
I didn't. Why do I call him and tell him you? How do I know that?
God, you're just a fucking angel then, ain't you?
How do I know that?
You're just, goddamn, you're a lying son of a bitch, Anita.
Well, you have a good day, Cody. If you don't got nothing else to...
And I'm telling you from the bottom of my heart, I promise I don't want to take this to that level, but you can assure that I will be the last one to get a last laugh. Now, we can just part ways and be friendly to each other and I have no more problems. But if you keep pushing me, then we will have a problem.
Well, you better stop pushing me because I haven't done nothing.
No one's pushing
I don't got time for you.
You as a grown adult and saying,
you come what?
I'm coming to you as a grown adult, and I'm telling you that we live in Lebanon and everybody, we have mutual friends. Does that make sense?
Well, we've lived here all of our life.
Friends. So have I.
Yeah.
And we have same people that are in our little circle that maybe they're just not as, loyal to you as you think that they are.
Listen, buddy, I'm not out to get you in trouble.
Yes, you are.
No, I'm not.
One of your friends told me that's what you said.
Oh, God, Cody, if you believe that I'm after blood, you're crazy.
Well, then you're pissed off because Jeff got in trouble.
No, I'm not.
Oh, you're not. So then we have no problem then.
Nope, I guess you don't. We don't have no problem, do we?
So when are you having the next garage sale? I just want to come over. We're friends, so I can come over.
You're not allowed here.
You didn't tell me that, and you've never told me that. I've always been friends with you. I can come over to your garage sale if I choose.
Cody, we don't want no problems with you.
Okay, and I don't want none with you. But it had better stop, Anita.
And it better stop on your part, too.
Okay, then we're on a solid fucking rock here. There's a line right down the middle. You don't cross that line, and I won't cross that line, and we'll be a happy family. Deal?
Well,
I'm going to tell you one thing right now. Because she was nice. She was nice. You'll be lucky if you get arrested coming in my yard. You'll be lucky if that's what happens to you if you come in my yard. You will be lucky if you get arrested if you start harassing me. That will be the best thing that could happen to you is to get arrested. Because I promise you right now, I will never live with this kind of torture. And I applaud Anita Reed. I applaud this woman because she did not let it throw her into submission. She did not let it throw her into silence. She kept fighting against this because she knows how bad it is. And she never let it falter her. She kept going. But for you too, that I'm talking to right now, I wouldn't do it. Because arresting will be the best thing that ever happened to you. You don't threaten individuals. You have no right to treat other civilians the way that you are. What gives you the level of entitlement to think that you can harass and bully other people in this community to do your bidding? Why do you think that's okay? And I'll tell you why I think. I think it's because nobody has given these individuals consequences. They are toddlers in adult bodies, because he can say that he's coming as a grown adult all day long, but he's talking like a toddler. It sounds like an adult man throwing a toddler fit is what it sounds like. This has got to be unacceptable in our community. It has got to be nipped in the bud, and it's got to be stopped. And I think the thing that frustrates me the most is I heard this and I said I was taking this case. And then after that last podcast, nobody even knows the amount of individuals that these people have bullied in our community, intimidated in our community, and they bully them into silence. And it's not acceptable. Not acceptable any longer. And that was just the start. That was just the start. Because then, after that, on June 12th, Kevin Reed's storage unit was broken into. I'm not going to name where the storage unit was because the owners of the storage unit I have communicated with. Yes, I do leg work. Yes, I do back end work. So even when I'm not podcasting, I may be working. And these individuals took care of their problem. But for those of you that would think that Anita's just paranoid all the time, and I'll tell you, I understand why we think that when people scream like she's been screaming. But we got to start listening a little bit. We got to start listening first and then evaluating if we should help them or not, because these things happen. On June 12th, he goes to his storage unit. Kevin Reed goes to his storage unit. It's broken into. All of his tools are stolen. And everything else is tore up. So even the things that they did not take, curio cabinets, they broke mirrors, they just trashed the place, right? At the time, when I was questioning Anita and Kevin, they never assumed foul play. You know, I'm looking at a sheriff report because these individuals reported all of these harassments, tried to most of the time. That was a little difficult at times, but reported these harassments. And when I asked them, because when you look at the sheriff department's report, it talks about how there was a video camera that was on that storage unit. So I call Anita and I say, hey, what happened to this? She said, oh, it was a fluke. Cameras weren't working that day. And so it just kind of was a no-win for us. I asked, who did you speak to that day? She told me who was managing that storage unit at the time. And then after I hung up, took me a quick little review to find out that individual that was managing that storage unit at that time was also helping share dynamic towing posts and marketing for them. That was a red flag for me. So then I go call the owners of said storage unit. And turns out that girl had to be fired. And her phone was turned into our city police. Everything was turned into our city police because she was working with her friends that might have been drug addicts and doing bad things to her tenants. So I don't know that was coincidence. I don't think that was coincidental at all. Then, a couple months after that, car in their front yard, Jeff's car actually, gets shot up with a BB gun. There's a sheriff department report on that. That's not coincidence to me either. We don't have evidence showing that or anything right now that could show that it was, but I don't know that it was even looked for, to be honest with you. And then, morning of court, because you've got to understand this whole time that they're being harassed, they never stopped. And that is where I say they deserve an applaud from this community, especially this community who has been affected by this couple for far too long. And like I said, I don't blame the individuals that have just submitted themselves to silence, because sometimes that's just easier so that you can move on with your life. Sometimes it's children we're talking about, and we have to move on with our life. But we have got to learn to stand up and applaud the individuals that don't do that, and that will take a stand and keep pushing. So eventually, in 2022, there was a probable cause statement submitted to the prosecuting attorney, and charges were actually filed. And the probable cause statement I have posted, we'll actually put up here, a smid of it up here. Goes pretty deep into what actually went on. It's good information. I'll let you guys kind of go through that. I have no doubt that Jeffrey was assaulted that day with a tire iron. I'll just be real. My personal opinion is there is no doubt. Zero doubt in my mind. But if you need more evidence, we'll make sure we post it. It's already on my page. You can go look at the probable cause statement, and we're going to be putting up the pictures of his wounds. It shows you right there. The morning of court and the morning of the preliminary hearing, we have pictures of a gentleman in a red truck driving slowly by Kevin and Anita's house with his video hanging out of his window, taking photos, taking video of them. If that's not intimidation, I don't know what is. If you think that they were not sent there for intimidation, I don't know what to tell you, because to me, that is absolute common sense. That's what happened. And I believe that wholeheartedly. I believe that. And when they go report this, and mind you, preliminary hearing happens, and we're still looking to see if we need to get this preliminary report hearing evidence and sunshining that if we need to. We have to remember that at this court hearing, two of the eyewitnesses that was at the scene that had already given official statements saying everything that they had seen and everything that had already happened, all of a sudden couldn't identify. And then they say, well, Jeffrey couldn't identify. So then they drop the charges that day. They go to the sheriff's department. This is Kevin and Anita after preliminary hearing and after charges were dropped. And they go to report this red truck that is harassing them. And so when you're looking at this report, and what they do is they do CAD notes. And CAD notes, I guess, is, I'd really like to dig in and see how can a people officially report in a sheriff department, because if you walk in to give an actual official reporting, my personal belief, and I'm not going to say that I know that it's right or that it's wrong, is that we should be able to write a statement and give off a statement. But she was told she could not, and she was told that she had to report it verbally and that the individual would write a CAD note. I am not mentioning officers' names because this is weird to me. It's strange to me, and I'm not sure what exactly happened. I don't believe that it's necessarily the one that wrote it or what it is, because the initial part of the CAD note discusses that Anita and Kevin came in with pictures with a face on it and identifying that they felt that they were being harassed that morning in the situation. And then under that it says, but these pictures had no identifiable license plate and no face pictures. I'm going to put these on the screen for you because I can see his face really well and I can see his license plate really well. I've also posted that down on my Facebook post, and we've already identified him. I've sent those pictures back to our sheriff. A lot of this evidence, don't think that I've been out here looking. Everything that I have found out has went straight to our sheriff department. And so even when I went to the witness's home, guys, you know, these two eyewitnesses told me she paid them $500. She told me. That's witness tampering. Witness tampering. And so something has got to be done about this. It is not okay that we allow people like this to live around us in our society, and we're just going to not do anything. And then we're just going to be quiet. And a lot of you won't do anything because you haven't been affected. And I get it, because it's hard for us to really understand that things like this happen if we have not walked it or experienced it. But I can tell you there are so many reports on these. It's not a situation, and I'll tell you, because this sounds like narcissism to me. This is true narcissism. A lot of the times we throw out this word and we'll say somebody loves themselves, they're marketing themselves as narcissism. No, a narcissistic person cannot have empathy for another human being. A narcissistic person, doesn't matter if you have facts, they're going to filibuster you, and they won't leave the conversation. They'll stay there and try to talk you into their point because they've talked themselves into it already. It's weird. It's strange. And what happens around these individuals is they like to have this grandiose personality. So some people will be surrounded by them. They'll surround themselves by a group of people. And usually this group of people is getting benefits from the narcissist somehow. I don't blame the people that are getting benefited, because sometimes we get in those situations and we don't realize it. But wake up, guys. Wake up. You know, true narcissism I've only seen a couple times in my life. Weirdly, it's been recently. Weirdly, it's been real recently. Because there are people in this world that don't just leave you alone. It's not like you can have an argument. Okay, we disagree. So let's have our disagreement. And then I'm going to go over here and you're going to go over there. And we're going to continue to do our lives. When you're dealing with a true narcissist, that's not how that works. They will actually make you look like the bad guy, right? They'll get you so riled up that you'll become the problem because they're so undertone snake criminal in the things that they do that it drives you so crazy that you can't get other people to see it, that you become the crazy one. That's not true. And so if you are dealing with a narcissist, open your eyes up, because if you are one of those benefiting from them, it's like this, and then it all crumbles in your face. It doesn't last forever. You can't ever survive that with true narcissism. So back away from these individuals. Learn to identify these things. There are red flags, and you're seeing them, I'm sure. You're seeing them, and anybody around, if you're saying, go, I've learned that in my 40s. I'm not just going to move forward with somebody that I have a bad feeling about. I'm going to back off because I like doing things that make me happy, that make other people happy, that are going to build up people in a way that brings up quality of life. And I'm not going to deal with people like that. I'm just going to exnate them out of my life and I'm going to move on. And we all should be that way. But this should not be happening within our community. We should not be letting these criminals get by over and over and over and over. And the stories I've thought, it's just, I couldn't even express to you. Some stories are meant to be reported. Some stories need to be loud, and a lot of them don't. And this is not just all I do here. It's just reporting. I'm proud of Anita and Kevin for allowing me to report this, because this is the only one that I can actually verbally report. But I promise you, there is multiples. Multiple people in this community have been affected by these individuals. And I'm confident in saying that. And I'm confident in saying that this community is ready for a change. And we'd like to see some action taken. And part of it is why I don't understand if we say, sure, okay, we didn't have enough evidence. They wouldn't give eyewitness. Why did not we investigate Anita and Kevin being harassed? Because with the true narcissism, it's not like you get harassed for a minute, then they're going to stop. It'll go on and go on and go on to the point of these individuals didn't want to go out of their home. They have to think twice about going to do something on a Friday night. They have to think twice about who they're going to run into within town. They have to think twice about who's outside of their house every night that they're laying in bed and they hear a noise outside. They got to wonder, is it crazy Cody? Do you want to live that way? I don't think anybody wants to live that way. And I don't think anybody deserves to live that way. So I think it's time that we get loud about this and that we shut these criminals down and that they finally get some consequences for their actions. I think it's time for that. And that's why I do what I do. What I hope from this is that more of you report. More of you report. And I'll tell you, if you report, nothing happens, please call me. Please call me. Because I think that the justice system is not working for the people anymore. And I don't know why. I want to figure it out. Is the problem at the top? I don't know where it is. I'm getting there. But we need to find it. And we need to fix it. Because we want to live in a place where we can go out in our communities and enjoy social gatherings and not have to worry about individuals like this harassing us. And I think we all deserve that. And I think it's time. So thank you guys for tuning in to episode 5 of Sincerely the Corrupt podcast. Next time, I am going to be starting the Tyler Smith series. And Tyler Smith, that's another one I'm passionate about because those parents they don't need a lot of help. They're doing a lot. They need it loud is what they need. And so when I do Tyler Smith, help me get that loud. Help me get this loud. Help us bring attention to these things so that we can start helping people and they don't have to live under this harassment sort of scrutiny. So thank you for tuning in, and I cannot wait for episode 6 that will be Justice for Tyler Smith.